across the Middle East has not merely stayed at a level of tension. It has reached a state that can only be called blazing both figuratively and literally. On March 24, 2026, a provocative statement was broadcast from Tehran, forcing international military observers to pay very close attention. Mr. Ali Akbar al-Mahdian, a senior aide to the leader of the Islamic Revolution of Iran on the National Defense Council, wrote on his official X account a brief but heavy message. We have been waiting for the arrival of the Americans in the designated zones for more than 2 decades. We have trained for this exact moment with a doctrine of asymmetric warfare. Come closer. This sharp-edged invitation was not some reckless outburst. It appeared immediately after reports from the Wall Street Journal on March 23 said the Washington administration was seriously weighing ground combat options. The question is why, after years of focusing only on airstrikes and economic sanctions, the U.S. is now beginning to consider a landing operation, and whether Iran, after 20 years of preparing for asymmetric warfare, has truly laid a massive trap and is waiting for the world's top superpower to step right into it. Until now, the U.S. military doctrine in confrontations with states possessing moderate defensive capability has usually prioritized seizing control of the skies. Yet the battlefield reality in March 2026 is exposing the limits of air power alone. According to a Pentagon strategic analysis report cited by the Wall Street Journal on March 23, the air campaigns, however intense, still have not been able to fully destroy nuclear facilities buried deep inside mountains or the finely concealed mobile missile launchers of Iran. That is why U.S. military planners are believed to have submitted the White House several options for a ground campaign to break this impasse. The most striking point is the appearance of infantry on the battlefield, a move of extremely dangerous escalation that Washington has tried hard to avoid ever since the bitter lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan. According to updated CNN data on the morning of March 24, 2026, roughly 2,200 Marines from Expeditionary Marine units had been placed on immediate deployment readiness. These elite assault units were not operating alone. According to information from The Sun published on March 24, these units were backed by transport helicopters and stealth F-35B fighter jets, launched from the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli, which is currently patrolling waters near the Gulf of Oman. The mission of this force, according to a source from The Sun on March 23, is not the full occupation of Iranian territory, because that is militarily unrealistic, but rather to carry out raids against critical targets, specifically Karg Island, the oil and gas export hub accounting for more than 90% of Iran's output, or the early warning radar stations controlling the Strait of Hormuz. The fact that the U.S. must even consider infantry is the clearest proof that Iran has succeeded in preserving its strategic assets against aerial firepower, forcing its opponent to get dangerously close if it wants the final goal of crippling Tehran's nuclear and missile power. While the U.S. possesses the world's most expensive and advanced military hardware, Iran has chosen a different path, one it calls asymmetric warfare. Over the past 2 decades, ever since the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, Tehran has poured all of its energy and resources into turning its territory into a denied zone through an A2AD strategy, meaning anti-access and area denial. In essence, Iran's leaders, including senior commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, understood very clearly that they could not defeat the U.S. in a conventional head-on showdown at sea or in the air. Instead, they built a network of underground missile cities, according to information from Iran's Press TV. These bases lie hundreds of meters beneath solid limestone mountain ranges, where even the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weighing 14 tons would struggle to completely destroy these stockpiles, which contain thousands of ballistic missiles and especially long-range suicide drones costing only tens of thousands of dollars but delivering tremendous destructive power. Iran's tactic is crystal clear. It does not need to sink the entire U.S. fleet. It only needs to inflict losses large enough to shake American public opinion. In a speech to army units in Khuzestan province on March 24, 2026, Major General Mohammad Karami, commander of the IRGC ground forces, declared that his units were at the highest state of readiness and had established defensive positions along the southwestern border with Iraq, where the U.S. maintains key logistical bases. Most importantly, Iran's trump card is the Strait of Hormuz. According to data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, roughly 20 to 25% of global crude oil and liquefied natural gas traffic passes through this choke point every day. Iran has turned these waters into a smart minefield, with swarms of fast boats armed with mobile crews, missiles, and pressure-sensitive naval mines. With only one order to fully shut the strait from Tehran, the global economy would instantly plunge into shock as oil prices soar. This is exactly the strategic leverage that lets Iran confidently declare that it is ready for a drawn-out war of attrition in which the U.S. would pay through the collapse of global economic indicators. Many Western military analysts once underestimated Iran's long-range retaliatory capabilities. Yet the real developments in the third week of March 2026 poured a cold bucket of water over those assumptions. According to a report from U.S. Central Command, ballistic missile strikes launched from Iranian territory have displayed astonishing accuracy and range. Specifically, some Iranian missiles were reportedly intercepted in the area near Diego Garcia Base in the Indian Ocean, a strategic outpost more than 4,000 kilometers from Iranian territory. This proves that Iran has successfully developed long-range missiles beyond ordinary projections. On the Israeli front, a report from that country's defense intelligence agency confirmed that despite having the world's most advanced multi-layered defense system, including Iron Dome and Arrow 3, Iran still managed to pierce that shield by using swarm tactics and launching hundreds at once of drones and cruise missiles. The real issue is that Iran has turned prolonged encirclement and sanctions into a powerful engine for military technological self-reliance. The commander of Qadim al-Anbiya Central Headquarters said on Iranian state television that our adversaries are trying to find a way out of the conflict they themselves started because they now realize that the cost on the battlefield is far too high. This confidence shows that Iran has not weakened after the devastating blows. On the contrary, it is sustaining a deterrent capability at the highest level in its history. One strategic mistake Washington could make if it lands in Iran is underestimating the strength of its proxy network. Across 20 years of preparation, Iran has not only built up its domestic armed forces, but also forged a broad axis of resistance across the Middle East. According to figures compiled by Al Jazeera as of March 25, 2026, the conflict had killed more than 1,500 Iranians in airstrikes, but had also brought about the deaths of more than 1,000 people in Lebanon and dozens in Israel through retaliatory exchanges. If the U.S. deploys ground troops